We got a video. Let's get it. Dustin B.
Yo, what's good, Harry? What's good, Sam? I had a question for you guys today. I was hoping you could give me some insight. So I just had a kid at the end of 2024 in November, and I just been so focused on being a good dad and learning all the new stuff that I've been having trouble finding inspiration to write and start working on a new project. So my question is, when you're feeling that lack of inspiration, what is something that you do to kind of get it fueled back up again? I was just curious. Any insight would be very much appreciated, and y'all keep killing it. Much love.
Hey, that's dope. Shout out to Dustin B. Thank you so much for the question. Looks like you're at work, so, thanks for taking a little break to holler at us. And congrats on the kid. That's awesome. I also just had a kid, so I completely relate to what you're saying. There's so much to learn. It's such a steep learning curve, and you're learning on the job. And yeah, I mean, it's enough to only focus yourself on that. And I see you're working too, so your time's already split. First thing I would say, is go easy on yourself. Don't be hard on yourself in this time. It sounds like your priorities are in the right place. You're really focused on being a good dad and learning everything you need to. I totally understand that you still want to continue in your creative pursuits, and you're looking to get back to that at this point, and that's beautiful, and you will be able to. But you're not doing anything wrong. Don't beat yourself up for being less inspired creatively during this particular season of your life, because we flow through different seasons in life, and the last thing you want to do is go into that feedback loop from hell that Mark Manson talks about in The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, which is a cool book to check out if you haven't read it. But he talks about this feedback loop from hell where, back in the day, it was enough to just be upset, to just be having a bad day. Like, I woke up with the sniffles, I'm having a bad day. And that was it. Now it's like, damn, I woke up and I have the sniffles. I'm having a bad day. Wait, why am I in a bad mood? What does that say about me? Oh my God, maybe it's because of my relationship with my mom, and so on and so forth. We get upset about being upset, about being upset, about being upset, and on and on and on, right? And so you don't want to get stuck in that space. It's okay to be a little bummed out because you're less inspired, but then don't beat yourself out for being that way, because it's inevitable. We can't stay inspired 100% of the time. So that would be my first piece of advice. Easier said than done, but something to think about and chew on. And in terms of how to get back to it, a big thing for me is always coming back around to making it feel like play as much as possible. Not like work, but like play. And so for me, it's like, how can I make this feel less like, okay, I have to record a video right now that is of a quality that would be acceptable for our flagship offering on my YouTube channel with the however many subscribers, and hopefully it can be at least in the top 5 of the last 10 videos. No, like, how do I make it not feel like that at all, and instead feel like, oh hell yeah, after school today, I'm in 6th grade, and after school today, I'm going over to Brady's house. We're going straight up to the attic. Me and all the homies, we're about to put on records and freestyle. It's going to be so fucking fun. How do I get back to that? So I don't know how that works for you in what you're working on. I think you said you wanted to work on a music project, so maybe you write songs. How can you make it fun, man? And there's a lot of different ways to do it. For me, a lot of times it's like, before I record anything, just put beats on, no headphones, no mic, just pace around in the basement, bump some dope beats from other artists, beats that I couldn't even use in my content if I wanted to because they get copyright, but some of my favorites, and just rap about whatever I want to rap about, and just do it for the love, and just experiment with crazy rhythms and go all over the place, or, have a cypher with Sam and Khan and the homies, and make it less about me and more about collaboration. So whatever that looks like for you, I would say focus on trying to make it feel like play again. Don't worry so much about the end result. And that can kind of be a nice way to sneak back into being inspired to actually create things that are intended to be shared with other people, if that is what you want to do. And then the last thing I would say is, go on an artist date. Take yourself on an artist date. This is something that Julia Cameron talks about in The Artist Way, which is the book that taught me about the morning pages. And it's actually, I have really dedicated myself to the morning pages for a long time. Since having my daughter, actually, I've been much less consistent. So that's something I want to get back to when I can, hopefully soon. But in reality, the morning pages go hand in hand with artist dates. And it's those two things that Julia Cameron says, if you only take two things from this book, let it be morning pages every morning and an artist date once a week. And an artist date is essentially where you you get in touch with your inner artist, right? Your inner artist is like your inner child. There's this artist inside of you that has certain needs and desires that are unique to the artist inside you. And so ask your artist, you know, what do you feel like doing? And your artist might say, I want to go walk through a museum and look at the art. Or your artist might say, I want to go to the dingiest dive bar in town and sit in the back corner for 2 hours and watch people. Or I want to go on a hike with a beautiful view. Or I want to go on a long drive. Or I don't know, it could be anything, literally anything. But the idea is not to do something that you think is meant to be artistically inspiring necessarily if that's not what the true desire is. But take yourself out, just solo, you and your artist, as it were. And, you know, this is a great way to get some inspiration. It's kind of like I was talking about earlier, just going on a walk through New York. And when I see all this, like, all these different fonts and colors and everything happening and all these different people passing by and I'm smelling all these different smells, that can be really, really inspiring and make me feel fired up to want to create something. So that would be my take on it.
Hell yeah. And it's kind of like what you were talking about last episode with the war of art.
Yeah.
Like if he's trying to, you know, maybe let's say write lyrics or something, like maybe like sit down even if you don't feel like that inspiration's there and you know what, like write something bad. You know? And like, get that out, see where that leads you. Like,
it's true, man. Like everything I just said, Stephen Pressfield, War of Art, would be like, nah, man, you don't need any of that shit. Just sit down and do the work. Like that's his whole thing. And to be honest, man, there's a lot of truth to that. Like you can't necessarily control when you're inspired, but you can control your time in a sense. And you have obvious obstacles there with the new kid and everything and right. Job and stuff. But man, if you can pick a time, even if it's only 20 minutes a day, if you can wake up 20 minutes earlier, half an hour earlier, or even an hour earlier and just say, hey, this is when I'm going to sit my ass down at this desk, same place every day, materials right in front of me. I got my notebook, I got my pen, or I got my mic, I got my interface, whatever your tools are, you know, I have my canvas, I have my paintbrushes, so on and so forth. And just say, I'm just going to sit here no matter what. You know, and I'm going to do something, even if it's bad, even if it's uninspired. So that's, you know, again, that's a whole nother approach. You don't even need the artist dates if you're going War of Art hardcore, like if you're going pro, right?
I just saw an interview with a writer, I think on Rick and Morty, but he was like doing a panel and they asked him about writer's block and how he overcomes that. And his answer was something along the lines of basically that, like, okay, well then sit down and try to write something bad. If you think you don't have any inspiration, you have writer's block, try to write something bad and you'll be surprised how difficult it is to actually, like, you're going to get something good out of it if you keep doing that. He's like, it's more difficult than you think to, like, write poorly. You know, like, he's like, he might not have that inspiration, but it if you push through it, he's like, something always shows itself.
Yeah. Eventually the muse is going to show up and give you something great, but you got to be there. And that's the whole Stephen Pressfield thing is like, you know, cause he talks about the muse, right? Which is like his vision of, you know, this woman that from the heavens above, I guess, that comes and delivers this great work. Yeah. And like, it's not even him. Right. And he's like, man, the muse rewards consistency. If I show up at the same desk at the same time every day for a month, it might be a month of grueling, horrible work where there's nothing usable from it. But the muse is going to look at that and say, okay, all right, you're showing up at 8 tomorrow, I'll be there too. Eventually something good is going to show up. That's so I love it. Shout out to Dustin B.